How big can I get my heart to be?
Thought Media Network proudly presents
How much love can I get flowing out of me?
The Real Talk Sisters. Deep, unfiltered, soulful conversations with Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, Reverend Kim Andrews, and Reverend Melinda Wood Allen.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Join us for Real Talk on Real Issues, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain. And now, let's join the Real Talk Sisters.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Hello, everybody.
Hi. So good to be here.
Yeah. Another week has gone by.
Oh, can you believe that? What in the world happens to the week?
It just flies.
It does. And I think we're just trying to, I know for myself, I'm just trying to stuff too much in there, and
Mhm.
Ugh.
Hear of that.
Ugh.
So, hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Melinda Wood Allen from the Church of One Love in Dallas, Texas. It's really good to be here with you today and with my sisters, my Real Talk sisters.
Okay. And I'm Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, and I'm the spiritual leader for Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth. It is so good to be here.
And I am Kim Andrews, spiritual leader at Unity Spiritual Center in Saxe, Texas.
Yee-hee.
People call me Sexy Saxe.
Sexy.
Sexy.
I like it.
And this is one of the most fun and wonderful times of my week because I love being here at my sisters.
Yeah.
Talking about the stuff that we talk about all the time, don't we?
Yeah,
It's just it's amazing. I love our conversations.
Yeah.
We think more, dig deep. What do I really think and believe? I love it.
Yeah.
So these shows we do are a lot like our time together when we're just hanging out. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The language might be a bit cleaner.
There's that. Yeah.
Well, y'all's language might be a bit cleaner. Mine it's just all hanging out there. Sorry, guys. Sorry, y'all. So there's no censor on this program. So we've been studying or talking about, having conversations about the Unity's 5 principles, and we are on principle 4. I pray. God is, I am, I think, I pray are the shortcuts, and the long cut is through affirmative prayer and meditation, we align our heart mind with God.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. I know when I think about prayer, I like to tell this story of my background and how I was raised in a Baptist church, which I loved. I love the music, still do. I still go and visit. My sister still goes there, and but that whole thing about when it was talking about praying ceaselessly, just pray ceaselessly, and I could not understand that because the only way we pray is on our knees. So I was just thinking, what is this, be crawling around on my knees all day? I don't understand that. I'm so literal about it. I couldn't understand how that works. But now, in New Thought, and I've been here since 1995, I think, the understanding, and the fact is that I was actually praying all the time. I just didn't understand. We didn't define prayer that way. That way. And so now I understand, it's just constant conversation with God, constant conversations with God all the time. And so as we get into the show, we'll talk more, about how we do pray and how we stay in connection. Because to me, prayer is connection. It's connection. So, but this is so crazy. Like, how in the world are you supposed to pray ceaselessly? I don't have time for that. I gotta go to work, get my kids dressed. What? So,
really in metaphysics, every thought, every word we speak is a prayer because our words have power and we realize that.
Exactly.
And so when I started to wrap my head and my heart around that, I realized that I want to be aware of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And what am I speaking into existence? Correct. And what am I focusing on? Because that only enhances in my experience. Give me a word, Melinda. You're so good at not enhance. You focus on something and it grows.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's a good word. That's a good way to say it. You focus, whatever you focus on grows.
It grows.
Yeah,
That
whatever you focus on grows. Yep.
it does it to your prayer experience, or it does that with your whatever it is you're manifesting. Both of those things.
Yeah.
I found some quotes from Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who started Unity.
Okay.
So this is from, it's actually in Linda Martella Whitsett's book, How to Pray Without Talking to God. And she's got these 2 quotes in there. This is from Myrtle, from her book, How to Let God Help You. Prayer is the most effective method of renewal and transformation, because in prayer, we associate with God and not with the problem. And Charles says, true prayer brings about an exalted radiation of energy. And when it is accompanied by faith, judgment, and love, the word of truth bursts forth in a stream of light that, when held in mind, illumines, uplifts, and glorifies.
Beautiful.
I like it.
And we're done.
And we're done. And we're done. Okay, that was a wonderful show. We've said it all. We've said it all. You know, my friend and mentor, Chris Chenoweth, used to always say, if you're worrying, you are praying for what you don't want.
Yeah.
And when I start worrying, which, you know, I'm a 4th generation, at least, worrier. I was taught well by generations of women who were expert in it. So
might be in your DNA.
Just, it's in my DNA. Yeah. And so, but when I start worrying, I have to, Linda Perry gave you your word, expands. Awesome. Thanks, Linda.
Love it.
When I start worrying, I remind myself, okay, wait a minute. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? And what is it that you do want? And, you know, I really got the praise slip when I was about 12 is when I was baptized into my Church of Christ church. And I took it very seriously, and I talked to Jesus all day, every day. I was just in constant dialogue, and it was very cool. Now, as life tore at me and things went awry 6 ways from Sunday, I started resenting. I'm talking to you all the time, Jesus. What are you doing for me?
Yeah. What's going on here?
You know, I was just making choices that were backing myself into corners, which I needed to be backed in so that I could change direction. Because, you know, as long as I kept up with the direction that I was in, I wasn't ever going to go to it. So I don't have any resentment against Jesus anymore. But my understanding of prayer at that time was, ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. While doing and thinking, it didn't occur to me that everything that I was doing, the choices I was making, the ways that I was thinking, the ways that I approached the relationships in my life, the things that I allowed to go on around me and to me, were in direct opposition to what I said I wanted.
Yes.
And so prayer is not just what you're saying, it's everything that you're doing. You know, the universe picks up on what's going on. Well, she says she wants people to be nice to her, and yet she keeps laying down like a doormat, no matter who comes up. I'm thinking she really wants to be a doormat. And to a certain extent, that's a gross oversimplification.
Sure.
To a certain extent, that was my prayer, is I wanted to continue to behave the way I always had, to not have anybody mad at me, to please everybody in the whole world, and have everybody magically be nice to me and you know, treat me like a worthy being when I didn't treat myself like a worthy being.
Yeah. Well, part of the thing that I'm sorry.
So that just taught me that really is prayer is everything. It's my attitude. It's what I do. It's what I say. It's what I think. It's how I act. I think more than anything, even the universe really is like, okay, you had a stray thought, but we see what's going on here. And if you want more of that, you can have more of that. Always. We're happy to give you more of that.
Yeah. You know, what I was going to say was just that, you know, when we're praying, for me, it's about clarity. It sounds like what you described. You know, when you're praying, you one of the things that I asked Spirit for, because I wasn't really clear about what you're saying right now as well. Like, I'm asking for things, but am I saying it in the right way? Do I have to hold my mouth a certain way? Am I supposed to, you know, how do how do I speak in such a way that that I actually receive what it is I think what I said what I really want. How do I speak in such a way? And I'm just asking spirit this. I'm not talking out into. I'm just asking spirit that. And so I just said, listen, I need some clarity about this. I need to. So I'm talking with spirit all the time, just like you just said, all the time, and asking exactly this: what the hell is going on? What are you doing? And spirit asked me, what the hell are you doing? What
What's that now?
yeah, what exactly are you doing?
What you doing?
Because what you doing? Because you said this, but now here you go. And so I think what it ends up being is that we ask spirit for something, but we want it to come in the way we want it to come. And if what you ask for, it comes the way it comes, not the way you think it's going to come, the way it needs to come. And so that's what we're all upset about. Like, that's not, yeah, it is what you asked for, honey. You did ask for this, but so it's going to come the way it comes, not the way you're think. Perfect. It's going to be perfect, right?
Jesus, that my little thing with Jesus about you're not giving me what I want is I did get what I want.
You did.
But first,
Exactly.
I had to go through some processes. And I had to change my thinking, and I had to change a lot of things, but I did get what I want. I'm living the life that I want today. That life that back then I would have given anything for. That's the life I'm living today. But I don't know how I could have gotten here by any other route. And so all those prayers were answered. They were not skillful prayers. They were prayers of supplication, not, affirmation. And yet I got what I wanted.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I think, it wasn't until I got into metaphysics and new thought that, I realized that the way I've been praying before that time was I was always beseeching.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Begging for things and often squarely in the middle of the problem, because I'm describing the problem to God in the prayer. And all I'm doing is talking about that. Please don't have them treat me wrong. And please not this and please not that, which only expands the experience of that, what you're praying for and saying you don't want, but you are focusing on what you don't want. You're not focusing on God. And that's the difference with affirmative prayer and prayer treatment. And that you affirm what it is you do indeed want. And that sometimes, like Pjae was saying, takes some time to figure that out. Correct. And I've noticed that I might start praying in one way using certain language. And then as I'm listening to myself and I'm in the energy of that prayer, I may start adjusting my language because I say, oh, there might be a different way I want to phrase this. Right. Or, which is often the problem for me, am I still asking for crumbs? Am I affirming my true power and the true experience that I want, that what is really my heart's desire? Or am I just asking for a little bit because I think that's all I'm worthy of? That's all you're supposed to get. So this whole thing about affirmative prayer made me really think about who am I as a spiritual being? And what do I think I deserve in life now as that spiritual being, as someone who is love, as someone who is joy, and the principles of those words. And so that means if I believe in an opulent universe, I should live an opulent life, and I get to choose life. And I get to choose what that is without limits. If I believe that I'm a limitless being and that the abundance of the universe is also limitless. Right. So it does put us, affirmative prayer and prayer treatment really does put us firmly in the middle of our beliefs. What do you believe about God and yourself? It does right now. It does. That's what it does.
And that's the aligning, instead of telling God, aligning with what you could in simple language call the will of God, or in Buddhist language call the way things are, being an acceptance, all of that. But it's aligning, it's getting all lined up, not saying something, doing something else, being afraid of something else, holding something else as, maybe an ideal that's only for other people and not for me, but getting it all lined up, Yeah. And I believe once we do that in an interior way, once we're lined up, then the actual words matter much less.
The words don't actually matter. Not really. No, they don't. It's what your heart's feeling. It's what your heart's saying. It's what your
Exactly.
heart's actually saying. And so I think that part of the thing is what is your heart actually saying? Because you're asking, your mind is saying one thing. You know what the dream is. You know what you want to believe, that that the universe is abundant, that God is love, all of those things. And yet in the way that I was raised, and all around much of us, in the atmosphere, if you will, the consciousness, the collective consciousness is money is evil. So to want money, money's going to change you. Money's going to, and so you're asking for abundance and riches. And I know, and so I have to go back and talk to myself and say, what have you done with money in your life? You've always used it, shared it. You don't hoard it. You don't hoard other people. You give it away as quickly as you get it, because I feel like it's about flow. I feel like it's about flow. But there's this, and so it's been many years of recognizing that there is a underlying belief about money and what is mine and what is due and what is the right thing to do, that has to constantly be shed, and only comes up as you're praying and asking for things. And then there's a little negative or nagging thing that's going, do you I
Do
mean,
you really? Do you
yeah, yeah,
really?
yeah. And so it's all, so I think all this experience with prayer, and back to your point about it's not actually the words, because your heart starts speaking. And at this point in my life, I speak with God just like I'm talking with you all, just because I want clarity, and I just get to the point. What's happening right now? What's this about? What are you trying? What are you telling me? Boom. Okay, here's what I'm telling you. What are you telling me? Whatever.
What are you telling me? It makes me think of that Emerson quote, "Who you are speaks so loudly that I can't
Okay.
hear what you're saying."
I can't hear what you're saying, and I think that's the spirit
So
doesn't
that's
hear what
the
you're saying.
prayer. When we
Correct.
pray from who we are.
Correct.
We're always praying from who we are. So we got to pay
Right.
attention to who we are.
Well, and the good news is that when we don't get what we think we've prayed for, it's not about God not answering prayer. It's about looking and saying, okay, what did you actually ask for? What did your heart actually ask for? What do you believe is possible? Because that's what you're getting. What you actually believe is possible. And so all the way comes back to you and what's going on in your heart and your belief system. So prayer is an amazing thing. I think it's the experience of prayer is a wonderful way to grow in spirit.
Mhm.
It's a wonderful way to grow. Yeah.
I like the first steps in affirmative prayer in unity, where first you're to sit and meditate and get quiet, and then you concentrate on the presence of God, feeling it,
Exactly.
affirming it, embracing it. And often that's like you said, Pjae, I don't need words, because by the time I get there, then I
Yes.
realize there really was no problem, and
There
that I do have the power to bring to bear to whatever this situation is.
Right.
And by that time, I usually have clarity.
Exactly.
And then I
Exactly.
find myself, if I need to affirm something or say something out loud, I'm often doing it because now I have clarity and I know what step one is. And I'm in step one and affirming and already feeling the results of the prayer being answered.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
there's, if you're fully in the awareness of God, then suddenly you're like, okay, why did, like walking in the room, I said, why did I come in here?
Exactly.
What was I praying for?
What was I
What's
praying
going on here?
for?
I'm
Hey, what's
already
going on here?
Yeah.
Already there.
Yeah.
My sister tells a story that apparently I told her, but she remembers it, and it reminds me of the story. Whenever I'm praying and whenever she's praying and dilly-dallying around and not really sure what she wants to pray for. And so I was on a cruise and I had lost my watch. And I was just looking at my arm, wrist, and thinking, how did that happen? Because I had tight, I'm thinking about all I did to the thing and where I've been, and carrying just going all through everything that I had done during the day. And spirit very clearly said, "Listen, do you want to find the watch or not?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, no, I want to find the watch. All right, well then go to Lost and Found." That's where it was. But I was dilly-dallying around and talking about what I had done, and yeah, and my sister said, "Stop that. Get to the point. What do you want? What do you want? Get to the point." And so whenever I'm doing that and trying to pray, I'm thinking, I'm looking at all the I don't know, it's like the constraints, the situation, what's going on, what's all around, that has nothing to do with it. You're asking for prayer. You're asking spirit to step in. So none of the stuff you're talking about matters. What matters is, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want? Stop dilly-dallying around. So that's what I do all the time. So, I could have, and maybe I did this, and then Spirit just goes, hey, 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 too much talking going on. What do you want? Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, let's get to watch. So, whatever it is.
Today, I rarely ask for anything at all. It really is the experience of getting myself into reminding myself, oh, this is who I am. This is why I'm here. This is what I know. And when I'm there, I know that I can absolutely trust Spirit to give me what is mine. I know that what's mine can't be kept from me except by me.
Right. Exactly. And so you're claiming it. You're claiming it.
And so I'm just, and I don't have to get specific. I don't get specific. It's, it's praying for God's will, which is a phrase that I know scares people to death because it's like, oh, it was God's will. He died. It was a hurricane. It was God's will. The sun came up. That was God's will. You're wearing blue. That was God's will. It wouldn't be happening unless it were, because if it's all God, it's all God. But to align myself with the goodness of God, to align myself with the peace and the perfection, the absolute presence of love, which is my favorite word for God, the presence.
Me too.
And if I am in the presence of love and I am practicing the presence of love, then I'll have to get specific. What happens will be an experience of love because that's what I'm here for. And that's in prayer, what I do is practice making myself completely available for that experience.
So we need to take a little break real quick. And when we come back, we'll talk about maybe, so all three of us are talking about different ways in which we actually pray and talk to God. So let's come back and talk a little bit about that. What does it matter? How we pray.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back. We've just, all of us, been talking about how we pray, and we each of us do it differently. You talked about the will of God, Melinda, and Pam, you talked about, I'm not even sure, but Carrie, what did you say?
That when you go into affirmative prayer, you start by meditating and then concentrating on the presence of God. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So just getting in that space. And so I don't think it matters. I think part of the thing that I wanted that was important for me to say in this program today, when we're talking about prayer, was that it is about relationship. I think it's about relationship, whatever relationship you have with Spirit, and that it's us that we decide to develop this relationship or have it, and however we decide works best for us is what works best for us. God hears prayer, no matter how we say it, no matter how we do it, whether if we speak it out loud or just think it in our heads. There's no rule. I don't believe as far as, because if we are one, then we're really kind of talking to our higher selves anyway. And so everything that we want to say is already known. It's already known. It's already known. So I don't want to give the impression as people are listening that there's a certain way that you need to do it. What I believe, and you guys talk about what you believe is true, but what I believe is that what matters is that you know how you and Spirit talk to each other. Just develop that relationship so you feel confident whenever you go into prayer, whatever it looks like, you're being heard and your prayers are being answered. Those are my thoughts.
And Pjae, a lot of people in New Thought, and it's interesting that you were quoting from the book How to Pray Without Talking to God. I don't need to pray without talking to God. I don't mind talking to God.
I love talking to God.
I do understand that God and I are one. and that my higher self and I are one. And yet I observe Melinda sometimes running around like a chicken with her head cut off. And I know that actually Melinda is this calm presence of oneness that gets to watch Melinda run around until she's ready not to
Yes,
run around.
until she's tired. Yeah.
You know, until she's tired, till she's worn herself out, just like a toddler. Okay, in a minute, she's going to drop for a nap. So we'll just let her wear herself out for a while. You know, all of that I have all that understanding that comes from behind it, behind that. So it just, in the moment, I may speak aloud as if I were dialoguing with someone outside of myself, even though I don't believe it's, I mean,
Out
God is
there.
infinite and transcendent. I am that.
Yes.
But that's not to say that this isn't that too. One of the ways I pray is to talk to you guys, because guess what?
Absolutely.
You are God with skin on to me.
Yes.
And talking things out with you in the same way that talking things out within myself helps me to know myself more clearly, which means that I'm more in touch with what I really want. And what I really want is who God is what God is love. So there's no way to do it wrong. And I think
there is not. That's the point.
Sometimes in New Thought, there's a nope. You got to sit
and you got to do this and you got to do that. There's a whole steps to it.
Say that word. And I mean, you and Spirit you are one. You're always walking around dialoguing in the same way that I'm always walking around dialoguing with myself. It's no different. That doesn't mean you believe God is somewhere way out there and you have to ask for stuff. It means that's the way you've developed your relationship.
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly,
in the
Melinda.
way that friends can either gab and ignore each other, sometimes interrupt each other. Some friends can sit in silence for long periods of time. Some friends do better when they're doing activities together. There's no wrong way to do it. There's just what suits not only the personality, but the moment.
Yes.
Sometimes I just need to say it out loud. Sometimes I don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kim?
Well said. Well said.
I think that one of the things that really changed for me, once I get in the right frame of mind or consciousness about who and what I am, who is God and what is my relationship to God. And then, in affirmative prayer, we talk about that we hold the truth for ourselves once you get that clear, but then I hold the truth for that person if I'm praying with someone else.
Right.
And I don't need details of the problem and then get into the problem and get into the weeds. What I affirm for them, so if they're dealing with dis-ease or something like that, then I just pray about health and wholeness. But I can hold that for them, and I probably can hold it better if I don't get in the weeds with them.
Yes.
Right. So the details are not important, because really all that matters is that we are both feeling the presence of God in that moment. And I'm holding for them the truth of their being, not the truth of their experience right now, what's happening on the relative realm, on this physical plane. That doesn't matter, because God is all there is absolute love, unconditional love. And so it is that we concentrate on, and you hold that for yourself and for the person involved if you're praying with someone. But maybe the work is just to do it for yourself. And so you, like Myrtle Fillmore was saying, you leave the problem alone and you concentrate squarely on God. And if you need to say that out loud, yes, say it out loud. There are times I need to say it out loud.
I need to say it out loud. Yes.
When I'm walking around the room, tears streaming down my face, affirming the truth of who I am and what God is, and the power over whatever is happening in my life. And then you give thanks for it, because you know that in divine love, there is no space and time. It is, you're saying yes for it now in pure potentiality, because that's where the answer, that's where everything starts.
Yep.
That's the first cause of everything, is that in that presence. And then that brings it in. So you just give thanks for it being done.
Yeah.
I love that when you started to say concentrate, but you almost said consecrate, which is exactly what concentrating on the presence of God does. It reminds us, oh, the sacred is already here. Nothing needs to be done. We are already living in sacred land. We are already on holy ground.
And we were before the situation cropped up, and nothing has changed
Nothing has changed.
because the problem cannot change that beingness. And so sometimes I get right there because I say, oh, I was firmly there before the situation came up. Nothing about God has changed. Nothing about my essence has changed.
Right.
And so the problem is the thing is not a thing.
Yeah, it's not even a thing.
It's not even a thing.
Now, in our human, to be fair, in our human lives, we do have to deal with things that are uncomfortable, that we don't want, that we wish weren't happening. But that, knowing that does not shake my faith in what we're talking about at all.
Yeah.
It just makes me go, okay, well, this is a different route than my little human self would have made up. But I'm not so good with maps as God is anyway. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I will arrive at my destination.
Oh, we know this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that whatever you have to do in between, whether it's a primal scream or a tantrum, or like I said, walking around the room, crying and venting either my grief or my sadness or my frustration and getting all that out and deal with the human emotion, then I have space and energy to call in what is already present, which is the presence of God. And so it just takes the veil away from my eyes, whether they're my physical eyes or my spiritual eyes. And then I really get to the truth of the matter. But sometimes we have to go through that process of grief or whatever, so that we can get clear about who and what we are, what really is the situation here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
oh, go ahead.
well, sometimes it's not necessary, like for, I mean, there's so many reasons to pray and so many things that I just go to Spirit for everything. I don't, I'm not even trying to work through stuff. I don't need to. Like, you do it. You take it. Sometimes it's about reaching for something different. Like you want something more in your life. You want something different. It's you can see the next rung up the ladder. But the paradigms that we've been living in hold us steadily in the place that we're in. And so trying to break out of the way that we've been doing things and what we believed about how it needs to be a woman or to be married or whatever those paradigms we've been living with and beliefs we've been living with. And so to try to reach that next rung for us, we're dealing with that and asking Spirit, hey, let me see the next rung. I need to believe. I'm going to believe before I see, before I can get there. I have to believe it already. I have to, in fact, the language that I've been learning to use is to come from where I want to go. Instead of coming from where I am, what does it look like? Come from the energy of where I'm trying to go. So that I can leave all these paradigms and these things that are kind of holding you back and say, well, you've never done that before. What makes you think you can do that? All the talk in your head that goes on. And so we want to break past that. So sometimes I just ask Spirit for the help with that, just to quiet down that whole committee that's telling me all about, well, you've been this and we like this. So why are we trying to do something more? Because that is God. Right? The spiral universe, it spirals up. We have more. We're always evolving, but the self wants to go, hey, we're pretty comfortable here. What are you doing?
I'm laughing because I'm like, I don't want the more. I want to stay right where everything's fine right now. Nobody make a move. Nobody make
a move.
You know how well that works.
Yes, I do.
But what I started to say before is that that's one of the things we do for each other as friends, as sisters.
Yeah, we do.
Is that we allow each other that venting, the tantrum throwing, whatever needs to come out. We allow that. We don't shame each other. We don't should each other. We don't say, well, you're just not thinking about that, right? Or you're trying.
None of that.
We don't ever do that. We make a space for all of that human stuff, and that's why and how we can get to what's under that, what's undergirding it, what's overarching it, what is permeating through it. But
absolutely
make a space for that. And that's one of the reasons it's so valuable to have spiritual friends who are able to honor both our divinity and our humanity.
Absolutely.
Because it's not that one is better than the other.
Not all, because they're both.
They're both present.
They're both present and real.
And it's all God.
Real.
Yeah.
It is. And part of what I come to you guys for, my partners in believing, is to know the truth for me. Because sometimes you're just so deep in the weeds, you forget who you are.
Yeah.
And you guys remind me that that's not what I know for you. Here's what I know. Here's what I know about you. Here's what I've seen you. And so you see a higher knowing, a higher person that you've been all along. But sometimes when you're down in the weeds, you don't remember that. And so I come to you guys because you remember for me and you share that with me. And I love that about you guys. I love that.
And it's truly a gift to be
Yeah.
able to have another
Yeah.
hold who they know you are
Exactly.
for you. It's
Right.
one of the greatest gifts, maybe the greatest gift you can ever give another human being.
Amazing to me.
I see
Yeah.
who you are.
I see who you
get
are.
to do whatever you want right now. You get to feel however you feel,
Right. But the truth of you.
you are. I know
who you are.
Mhm.
There's
Exactly.
Aaron McGon, who's a minister in Washington State, wrote this beautiful song called "Someone is Praying for You," and that's the chorus. Someone is praying for you. Someone is knowing the truth for you.
You. Exactly.
That's all it is. That's what praying is: knowing the truth,
Knowing the truth. Exactly.
holding the truth.
Right. Back to what Kim was saying. I don't even need to know what the issue is because I know the truth of you. So what the current issue is doesn't matter because the high truth of you is this, that it's all perfect and well and working out to our benefit, to our good. That's what we know. So yeah.
I was talking to my mentor the other day. So I have a ministerial mentor, and she's wonderful, doing some great work with her. But we were talking about a situation, and she said, it was so beautiful the way she said it. She said, "Well, I don't have to. We don't have to talk about the problem,
The details, yeah.
because I already know the truth of you." And she said, "But how can I support you and your heart as you navigate this?"
Love it. Love it. Exactly. Yeah.
I thought, how wonderful is that? Because again, like you were just saying about our this trio of sisters, is that it's truly a gift to have somebody love all of you, to meet you where you are, but also to recognize the truth of you, and if need be, remind you of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say,
Exactly.
yeah, I get it. I get that your heart is breaking, and I also know
Yes.
that everything you need is right there within you.
Right here with you.
And I'm
Right
here
here.
to walk it with you.
Right.
If you, yes, you
Yes.
don't walk it alone.
Exactly. Until you remember for yourself, I'll remember for you.
Mhm.
Correct. I love that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, you know, that praying without ceasing got me too. Teaching in the beginning, because I thought, oh, I'm not that good. Okay,
that's
I'm not. Yeah.
I can do it.
But then, when I realized, prayers are thoughts are things, and we
Yes.
call things into our life by what we say and think repeatedly. And it really did make me very aware of how I was talking to myself, how with the thoughts I had about myself in my life, how I judged things in my life, and the way things were going in my life. And I actually would stop and say, "Oh, is that really what you want? Did you realize what you just said?" Again, either out loud or to myself.
Right.
And usually it has stopped me in my tracks. And I went, "Oh." So I may not know right away what to affirm, but I know what to stop saying and thinking.
Okay. How about that? I can do that. Yes.
And so there's those denials and affirmations, and then I would start with some denials of what I was experiencing in the present that I don't want to repeat anymore.
Mm.
And let that be the start, because sometimes we just need to get quiet and make space for that love and God consciousness to come in. And I have often been reminded of things that were my heart's desire that I had forgotten about in that
Exactly.
meditation time.
Exactly.
I don't know, because you are in the weeds.
Yes. Yes.
We're at a time for a break just about, and I would love if y'all are on board for this to come back and talk about denials and affirmations.
That's going to say that I love that was such a beautiful thing, and that I talked to a lot of people about. And so yes, let's definitely come back and talk about that. Those are fantastic.
All right.
Yes.
We'll see you back in just a minute.
Yeah.
We're back. So I was thinking about this regarding affirmations. I was talking to someone a few years ago that was facing some difficulties in her life and was kind of coming to me for advice. And I said, so what are you doing? What are you doing about this? What have you done so far?
What have you done so far? Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm saying affirmations. And I just remember it hitting me. Well, saying affirmations just in and of itself isn't really going to do anything. The purpose of an affirmation is to align your mind to a different way of seeing and a different belief. And as you do that, that aligns your will and your actions to a different way of doing and a different way of creating. And so that's something that it really just, I got really aware of that at the time, that if we don't take these principles to a deeper level than, oh, denials and affirmations, this isn't happening, this other thing is happening, this isn't happening, I want this other thing. That in it's the words are not enough. The words are symbols for the work that's going on beneath the words. And if you use the symbol, but you don't engage the work, then it's not going to work. And so when people do denials and affirmations and they don't work for me, that's really why, because it's not just, you have to get beneath the words. And I just love to hear what y'all's experience with that is.
Yeah. Well, certainly for me, as I talked about it earlier, when I'm praying for something, or particularly when I'm trying to step up the next rung of the ladder for me, what I think is next rung, and just to do something different. And the thought that comes up is, well, you've never done that before. Do you have the education for that? I don't think you can do that. And I actually physically put my hand up like a stop sign. And just, that's not true. That's not true.
Stop.
What is true?
In the name of love.
Exactly. It's the whole, no, that's not true. I physically put my hand up to stop my mind from going on down that road. That is not true. You are bright. You are caring. You're educated. And you're already doing this. You just haven't, you're already doing. So whatever you're being called into, you're already doing. You already are that.
Or you wouldn't be called.
Or you wouldn't be called to it. Yes. And so just the physical act of shutting down the voices in my head is what denials do for me. Shut up. Here's the truth. I am a child of God. God loves me and wants all the best for me. So why in the world would he lead me here and then, or he, she, it, whatever, however you see it, why would Spirit lead me here not to take me all the way through to it? That's not what happens. You're being led here for a purpose and a reason, and you're going to finish it if you keep going. So it's such a powerful thing. It's one of the first things I actually teach when it comes to prayer and living the life that you have is the power of denials. And I don't say affirmations, it's denials and affirmations is how I call it, because that's the first thing that happens. That's not true. Here's what's true about me and about all of us.
Sometimes we have to do that. We have to do that stop before we try to paste on.
Some other thing.
We got to stop.
Yes.
It's like changing. It's like you got to change directions. You don't change directions by change directions. You stop and then you
flip around.
A different direction. Yeah.
Correct.
Flip around.
Correct. Yeah. So that's my experience with it. And I love it. I still do it. I wish I didn't. I wish I was at a place spiritually speaking and ascended where I did, but I do. I'm still a human being, and I still find myself going down paths that need me to say, stop in the name of love. And then
think it over.
Yes.
And over and over and
over. And come back to love. And come back to love. Return to love.
That's
Return
right.
To love. Yeah.
In the name of love.
Yes.
My experience with that is probably about the same as yours, Pjae, that sometimes I just need to say stop.
Stop it.
And then I really look at what it is I've either been saying or affirming for myself that I no longer want. And I may say something like, I no longer will accept treatment like this from someone.
Yes.
And usually that's enough now, because, when you practice enough, then your learning curve gets shorter.
Yes.
It does.
And you rebound so much more quickly. I find that I do. So usually if I do have to say a denial, I usually only need one or two and sit with it for a couple of minutes. And then I've immediately got clarity about what it is I do want to start affirming. But, sometimes I have to go there. All right. I love Myrtle Fillmore's, where she said, that thing that she first heard that turned her on was that she doesn't inherit sickness as a child of God.
That part. Yeah, that's not true.
And
That's
that's
not the truth of
around.
it. Yeah.
And there are times when I've had to say that. I don't, this doesn't have to happen. This isn't my divine inheritance. So I get to choose what I want here in this world, in this worldly experience. I can choose that.
I can. And I can stop it. If I did choose it, I can say, oh, no more. I no longer want it.
That I have to expand my consciousness around that. And so then, so you may do that and then make some decisions about how do I work with the world and work with my consciousness together and work towards what I want.
Right.
To start living what it is I want and learning what that process is about. So
what does it look like? Yeah.
If you're, especially if you, like we talked about earlier, if you don't want to ask for crumbs anymore, you just don't want to, like another speaker I heard say, oh, I just want to get through the night. And then you wake up in the morning and you're laying there exhausted, all cried out, but you still got the same stuff you had last night because that's all you asked for was to get through the night. Well, yeah, sun's up. So what?
Right.
And then she said, oh, I'm going to ask for more than just getting through the night.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm learning is to ask a better question. To ask a better question. Have a better thought. Not just get through the night. Is that the highest I want for me? Is it just to get through the night? Is that all that spirit is capable of? Why am I limiting spirit? What am I doing here? Is that what I really want? No, I don't just get through the night. Whatever it is. But I love that part.
Yeah. If it's a relationship problem, what do I really want in a relationship? And sometimes that'll, and I may ask spirit, the universe, divine love. I may ask, what is out there for me? What's possible with love?
Right.
And then the words start to come or the feeling starts to come. What do I really want in a relationship? Not just get through the night, get through my heartbreak so I can call them back up and beg them to come back.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we start that roller coaster ride over and over again.
And I want to be clear because it's easy to get into magical thinking, to start quoting these, this is the way it is. You're going to hold this thought. We have to remember that it doesn't always look like we think it's going to look like. That what you're really praying is what's going to come true. But if you're praying for someone else to do something different from what they're doing, ain't your business is what I would say about that.
Your
business. My mom would say it. Ain't your business. That this is all for us. This is not for what other people are doing, which is why a boundary is not, you have to stop treating me that way. A boundary is, I will no longer accept this treatment.
Yeah.
Completely different thing.
And much more powerful.
Yes. And so when we're praying, we got to make sure we're not trying to get everybody else lined up. We're here to line ourselves up. And that's enough. It's more than enough. That's the exciting thing.
It is.
And then when we're lined up, we attract.
Yes.
Without work, what we want.
Yes.
It comes to us because it has to. Because you're now at a different frequency and the universe says, oh, she wants a loving, life-affirming relationship.
Yes.
And then those people, wherever they are, and they might be standing right next to you. They may already, that was the way.
They probably are already there.
He was in my life for years. And then all of a sudden, when I got in alignment, I went, oh,
look at that.
Look at there. There he is. Been there all the time. And I've been walking around like this. And all of a sudden the blinders came off and I went, oh, okay.
This is a real quick anecdote. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I met this lovely young woman. She was so funny and just highly spiritual. Loved her and all that kind of stuff. She said to me, I'm not sharing this with you because I've shared it with everybody. I just love it. She said, Pjae, she was Nigerian or something. She goes, you do not have a man, do you? And I said, no, I don't. I don't have one. She goes, yes, because this is all over you. No, stop, go away.
And then you look at it and you went.
And I looked at it and I thought, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want. I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want that.
Yeah.
And so it's making me okay. So that's the vibe that I'm putting out. So if there was somebody available, I'm saying no, stop, go away. That was so funny. But she made me stop and think about what do
Yeah.
you want, girlfriend? Do you want to give that message out? Is that it? So very good. You're clear, but what you just said, Kim, exactly correct. It was there all along, but you weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Our
um,
consciousness and our beingness is repelling.
exactly.
What
Exactly.
we
The
said
gift that we're
before.
asking for. What we're asking for. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So all of those things. All of those things. Yeah.
I've been listening to Joe Dispenza quite a bit
Ah, yes.
lately and get some regular emails from him. But one of the things I was watching on YouTube, he said that he's done some studies with gratitude and scientific studies. And when we are in the state of gratitude and holding that and embracing it fully in mind, body, spirit, and heart, it changes the brain
Yes.
within hours, and they can measure that.
Yeah.
And so the state of gratitude, that's why it's so important at the end of however we're praying and whatever we're praying for and giving thanks for, is to be in that state of gratitude for as long as you want to hold that and go back into it as often as you can go back into it, because that is really what sets the universe on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever it is you truly want will come at you so fast you won't know what happened.
Well, and what gratitude really means is just being aware of
And
the
what is
blessing. And
whatever.
why would somebody want to keep blessing you if you're not even aware that you got any?
Hello?
However,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. And when you actually start doing that gratitude thing, because I actually start off the mornings with just gratitude, just before I even get into anything, it's just I'm so grateful, and I really am, for just waking up, just being here, looking around my life and seeing all the love, everyone that's in my life. It just goes on and on and on. And so you're just in this whole loving space because spirit is abundant. If we believe in abundance, we already have it. We already have it. So we have to do is just start looking around and recognizing all the abundance that's in our lives. And then we're already there. So it's just, and not to say that, and the universe is always wanting to give you more, more, more. The universe is always expanding, expanding, expanding. And so are we. So
At our ability to receive. So
yeah.
Linda Perry just said, when you write a note of thanks, you can change another's day. I happen to know this person, and that's one of the things she does is she'll just maybe at a restaurant, maybe at a place where there's customer service or any where she comes in contact with people, she might just write a little note. Thank you so much. What you did today really made a difference in my life. And sharing that. And then you give that gift to someone else, and then they're more likely to give that gift to someone. So not even just being grateful, but then sharing your gratitude. Sharing your gratitude. It's just
I agree.
it.
I agree.
I sent a thank you note to someone in my community. I've started doing that like every Saturday. I send out a note to one or two people. And the person I sent a note to said to me, he said, I've never gotten a thank you note in my life. And in his life. And he's in his 60s. And I think he was just raised in such a way that's not something they did. And because that was something I was taught very early, that you always
Me too. You give thanks for somebody does something for you, any small thing, you give thanks. You say thank you.
You send a thank you note.
You say a thank you note.
Somebody does something for you, you send a thank you note. You get it
always.
Yes. And and it's a powerful way just to recognize people. And sometimes a thanks can go a long way.
It's a shock. It's amazing.
There are plenty of times I thought, man, if somebody had said thank you, I wouldn't, you don't think about, I absolutely need a raise and you better recognize me, because that can be the greatest recognition from someone.
From someone, yeah.
And it just made such a huge difference, and I had no idea. I was just letting them know that he was valuable to our community.
Right.
And he said, man, that changed things for me.
Good for you. And why did you even pick that person? Why did you even pick the person? Like, so this, to me, this is how you know that we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
That we're all connected. We all have that God essence in us. And so you just that name popped up, but there was a reason. One of the things I like to remind myself is, if we are all individualized expressions of God, and we are, I believe that we are, I know that we are, then we're God's physical hands, feet, minds, words on earth.
Mhm.
And when something pops into our head, I feel like it's God saying, "Hey, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this on earth for me." So go, and if you don't, it'll pop it in somebody else's head, or it'll pop it in somebody else's head. But that's what we do. So that's why I'm always wanting to, whatever something pops in my head, do it, because I feel like Spirit saying, "Hey, this person needs something, and you could be a vehicle for that. Just do that." Not that there's anything I haven't done it. I just popped in, so I know Spirit has done it, and I move forward with it, and I'm blessed by doing it. Even if I don't know what it means to somebody else, I know what it means to me.
We have
Yeah.
like 4 minutes left, so that means we got to wrap up in 2.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
There's your mouth.
Well,
So that we
yeah.
don't set our producer's hair on fire.
Yeah.
We will endeavor to close in 2.
Yeah. I'm
So
just going to
last
say one
quick
thing.
thought.
Yeah. I love praying because it puts me into the mind of God in such a beautiful way. Start off the day in the day in my relationship with God, saying thank you for this relationship, for this knowing of you. And in the end of the day, thank you for this day and all the beauty that I've witnessed and been a part of. Thank you. So I love to pray. That's it.
And I think mine, I think we can pray without ceasing. And I do find that, especially now when I have affirmations that really resonate for me, sometimes they just come up during the day and I don't even have to think of them. They
Right.
just come up in my mind. And I find myself smiling and being in that space of gratitude. No matter what's happening, I could be driving, going to an appointment with somebody, I'm in a meeting, and it just comes up. And I love that. And so then you're like walking through the world, navigating life in the state of grace, aware of the state of grace,
Aware.
which is
Yeah.
always there, but we're not always aware of it. So
Yeah.
how about you,
Yeah.
Melinda?
You know, it is said that when Gandhi died, the name of God was on his lips because he had spent his life making a practice of repeating the name of God as a background to whatever else is going on.
Oh,
As
yeah.
a background to whatever else is going on.
Yeah.
So even when he wasn't sitting down, I'm going to meditate and be with
Yeah.
God at this moment, when he was, fixing a meal or walking down the street or whatever, the name of Ram was his name for God was rolling around. And I try to do that. I try to just recall that God is with me in every moment. God is with me. God is with me. God is with me. And there are various mantra that I use for that, but it's the idea that I'm never not praying. And so to the best of my ability, being an awareness of what it is I'm praying. And if I don't like where my thoughts are going, I don't have to talk myself out of it or have some big, like, okay, this is not true, because I can just go, put your mind on God. Take your mind off whatever it was on. Put your mind on God, and I'm grateful that I have that capacity. And the more I practice it, the more it's there for me when the chips are down, as it were. So that whatever your name of God is, practice that. That's just invoking the presence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Thank you to Linda and Anita for joining us and such great comments today. Thank you very, very much for being part of our conversation. We have some things on realtalksisters.com. Check out our website. And if you want to get in contact with us, it's realtalksisters@gmail.com. Thank you to the two of you for always making this the best place to be on a Tuesday afternoon.
Thank you, and you, and you. I'm always so happy to
Always.
spend time with you, or
Yes,
any
this is
time with you.
beautiful. Yeah.
And next week we'll talk about Principle 5.
Yeah, yes.
Feed on it.
Oh, then you got to do something after
you
you're
gotta
all in there.
Yeah.
It's all about you, boo-boo.
Love you guys.